Hi, this is Makola Spokane, the leader and the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum. Today we're going to deal with part 3 of this great topic, how to attain financial freedom in your life as a young man. How to attain financial freedom as a young man in your life. And today I want to start with eliminating debt. Eliminating debt as a young man as a way of attaining financial freedom. Now, I want to speak about how devilish a debt can be, because a debt can be a burden to people's lives. But the problem is that there are those people that are addicted in debts and they cannot live their lives without debts. There are those people that like debts and engage themselves in debts even unnecessarily. And why I'm saying unnecessarily is because there are people that love debts to an extent that they'll borrow each time for nothing. People will actually even go to an extent of borrowing and for the sake of luxury. So when you do that, you're basically putting yourself into debts that will actually delay you from attaining your financial breakthroughs or to attain your financial freedom because of debts. Now, owing somebody becomes a bondage on its own. And I'm sure you would realize that it will not actually make you to have money. Now, there are times when you are having people that borrow you money at a very big cost in a way whereby their interest rates of payment becomes very expensive. So therefore, I want to start here and say, if you are somebody who is having debts, if you are necessarily needing to have a debt, so please calculate the cost of the interest rate of repayment. It becomes very important that you don't actually just engage in debts that will actually kill you off when it comes to interest rates. Now, I'm giving an example with people that are addicted in what we call clothing accounts, for instance, and addicted in borrowing money from loan sharks, for instance. So please, be considerate in your life. Be careful, because there are high interests that are going along with these things. If you go to the loan sharks, for instance, they will actually borrow money for 50% of return interest, and that becomes very costly because you'll actually end up paying more than what you've borrowed. And that becomes wasteful for your life. It doesn't help you at all. And you can never be in financial freedom because you will keep on paying these things. There's what we call high purchases, and I'm sure some of you might have been involved in that, where you buy things in debts, like furniture, for instance, and things that you are buying them with accounts most of the time. And please, if you can, save money, as we have said in the previous lesson. And after saving money, make sure that you try to buy things cash. And as you buy things cash, you save quite a lot. And you are able actually to be free financially because you're owing nobody. And I must emphasize this, because if you are able also to save money to buy cash, please continue doing that. But if you cannot, please also, maybe you could rely on what we call lay-by. And lay-by, whereby you're actually paying the money in advance before you take that which you're buying. And that will help you, because at the end of the day, you're owing nobody anything. Because debt can be very detrimental. What it does, debt is actually destabilizing the mind, because you're forever worried and stressed about the people that you're owing. And some of them, they're actually nagging you telephonically. Some of them are knocking at your door and actually submitting letters of demand that stress you even much more. And I want to urge you as a young man that you don't rely on debts in everything that you do. Don't actually take debts that are unnecessary. And sometimes we always say there are what we call necessary debts and those that are necessary debts. Unnecessary debts will actually be things like clothing accounts, for instance. And as I said, buying some stuff that are not necessary to buy in credit. For instance, we have seen people that use credit cards to buy groceries. And that is unnecessary, because when you start to do that, you're putting yourself into big debts that you may not be able to afford in the ultimate. And when you are not able to afford in the ultimate, what it does, it destabilizes your mind, and you'll never be in financial freedom, because you'll be having this tail of debts that you're paying them always, and nothing is actually progressing you. We have seen people that cannot hold their money in their hands, because the money that you owe, that you earn, is actually less than what you owe other people. When you are actually earning less than what you owe people, you must know that you become a slave of those people. And that becomes very dangerous. As a young man, I want you to learn that debts are detrimental, and mainly in the main, they're detrimental. And I must emphasize that when we speak about necessary debts, it will be things like a mortgage, for instance. If you are paying a mortgage, which will be your house, the only advice that we can advise you is maybe to do it a more better way, and a more saving way, whereby you pay even more than what you are actually prescribed to pay, just to kill off the interest. And that is something that is very important to learn as a young man, that mortgage is actually a necessary debt, but it's a necessary debt that you need to approach it in a different manner as well. And that will help you, because you will be able to invest in that. Now, there's what we call movable assets and non-movable assets. And mostly you'll realize that the non-movable assets, which will be your fixed assets, are mainly gaining they're gaining value each time you have them. But the movable assets generally are actually costly, in the sense that they're losing value each and every single time. And those are type of things like cars, for instance. They are movable assets, and they are losing value every day. But mortgage, which will be your house, bond, and so on, will actually be a greater way of investment, in the sense that your property will gain value. So therefore, look at those things that will gain value than those that will lose value along the way. So when you are actually involved in debts, so engage them and say, is this a necessary debt or not? So don't engage yourself in unnecessary debts, and those that are necessary as well, make sure that you pay them as soon as possible. Now, secondly, today, I want you to look at what we call managing your money. If you wanna be able to achieve what we call financial freedom, manage your money. Now, managing money starts with what we call budgeting. And budget is something that you should actually know what you need. You must know what you don't need. You must know what you want and what you don't want. You must actually gauge off what is necessary and what is not necessary, because it's very important. What is a need is those things that you cannot do without. But there are things that you can do without, and those you may want, but you can do without. So be able, as a young man, to calculate actually the cost in that regard, and say, this I can, this I want, this I don't want. This I can do without, this I cannot do without. Now, based on that, make sure that, therefore, you manage your money based on that. And therefore, you prioritize as well. And because prioritizing the needs is very important. Because if you're going to manage your finances well as a young man, you must prioritize, because as much as you need these things, you may not need them at the same time. You may not need to buy them at the same time. So therefore, prioritize. What is that is necessary right now? And what is that is very important right now? What is that you cannot do without right now? Because that's very key. Immediately you start to know what you cannot do without right now, you start prioritizing and therefore saying, this is something that is necessary now. But there are those things that can wait for a moment, even though it's a need, but it can wait. You may not need to be buying it now. So therefore, prioritize, make sure that you buy the right things at the right time. And you buy only those things that you need. And that's what we call managing your money. And as I've spoken about the issue of budget is ability to use your money accordingly, in the sense of putting the right amount to the right place, buying the things that you can afford, and leave those that you cannot afford. Now, as I've said in the previous lesson, that competition is one of those things that makes people not to be able to manage their money. Because people start competing with others and start buying things that they don't necessarily need just because they want to be better than their friends. They want to be better than other people. So I want to urge you as a young man that these are type of habits that will launch you into big problems financially. And therefore, you'll be bound and become a slave financially instead of attaining your financial freedom. But I'm emphasizing that management of your own money is very important. Manage your money in a proper manner. Please plan and buy things that are necessary, and plan and buy those that are necessary right now, and let those that are necessary later wait. And make sure that also you are actually saving, as we have spoken about saving before. And that will help you as a young man. As part of management of your money, saving is that as well. And it means exactly that. I want to end up here today. Your host, my Spokane. Thank you very much for being with us. This was part 3 of this great topic. I hope you've gained quite a lot out of it. We'll embark on part 4 tomorrow as you join us once more. Don't forget either to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you click that notification button as well, so that every single video that we post shall notify you. You'll be able to engage with us and be part of what we are doing. And please make sure that you learn out of this. And I hope that you've learned quite a bit. You'll join us tomorrow once more. May the good Lord bless you. Allow me to say cheers for now.